Sync audio.
Got multiple syncs.
Super synced. Welcome to another episode of The Final Cut, proudly sponsored by 3rd Street Cigar. We're here in the 3rd Street Cigar Lounge. I'm with Zach Moser.
How's it going, guys?
And Zach is an employee here. Awesome. So, shit, man, let's get this rolling.
For sure.
All right, what are we smoking tonight?
Tonight we have the Oliva G in the Perfecto shape. So let's get this cut.
All right, walk me through it.
Cool.
So what's unique about this Perfecto
The
shape?
Perfecto shape, here, let's show the camera real quick. It's kind of a chisel torpedo type shape.
Cool.
It's easy to light because they all have a little nub at the end and they come to a point at the beginning.
Okay.
So what makes a Perfecto is a little different than a pyramid or a torpedo, just because of the taper in the middle of the cigar,
Okay.
and then at the head of the cigar comes to a very narrow point.
So what should I expect? Is this something that's going to get harsh as it kind of gets toward the end of the cigar, or?
It's going to smoke like a regular cigar.
Okay.
It's going to be easier to light. The first couple puffs are going to be tight. And common Perfectos are the Hemingway by Fuente.
Okay.
And the Oliva G. I can't really think of any other Perfectos we have in our humidor. It's a rare shape. You don't see it a lot. If you look at the old kind of comics and stuff that had a cigar in it, it's always this shape. This is an older rolling method. Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like a movie set.
It
type
does.
Of cigar.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's cool.
Yeah. And you don't see it anymore. It's easier to roll a Churchill or a Toro or something, in that shape.
Okay.
So that's why the Perfecto kind of stands out. It cuts against the grain in today's tobacco world.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's give it a cut.
All right.
So one thing that you noticed is you had to cut it a little higher up.
Yeah.
And that's just to get draw on it. On a lot of cigars, you look at the cap and you cut right there at the cap. Make sure that you're not, butchering the end of the cigar.
Sure.
With a Perfecto size, it has an extremely long cap, so you can cut it about, a quarter to half an inch down the cigar, and that's how you get your draw. If you cut it too low, if you cut it like a Churchill, it's not going to smoke right. You're going to sit there and you're sucking on nothing is what it's going to feel like.
Yeah.
So let's give it a light.
All right.
For sure. So we have our little Alec Bradley Bunsen burner lighters here.
Yeah, and these are super cool. I said on the first episode with Chris, I was talking about, I have one of these at home. I think they're awesome.
What's nice is in the last episode, I think you talked about toasting a cigar and that. Yeah. With a Perfecto, it's a lot easier. So all you got to do is get your lighter going and take a puff while it's in the flame. So just so Cameroon tobacco is one of the spiciest tobaccos. So on the range of things, it is a mild tobacco with a lot of spice. A lot of people think that spice and darkness kind of go together.
Yeah.
And they're not on the same spectrum. You can have a spicy Connecticut, or you can have a spicy Maduro. The Cameroon is just naturally a spicy, mild cigar. And that's just because of the tobacco. In our humidor, we don't have a lot of Cameroons. We have the Oliva G Cameroon.
Okay.
We have the AJ Fernandez Cameroon. And the Hemingway by Fuente is also a Cameroon, which is the other cigar that I talked about earlier with the same shape.
Oh, yeah. Now, do you guys not have a lot of them because it's a rarer tobacco? It's harder to get?
It is. It's hard to get. It's hard to source. And the Oliva G is one of the harder sticks for us to get. We often see this on back order just because of the tobacco and the manufacturing of the Cameroon itself.
Okay.
And some people will say, with the Oliva G, it is Cameroon tobacco. I don't think it's grown in Africa, though.
Okay.
It's grown, I think, in Nicaragua or something like that.
Oh, all right.
But the strain of tobacco is the same. Whether it was grown in Africa or whether it was grown somewhere else, Cameroon tobacco just has that distinct flavor.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a really good flavor, very unique.
Yeah. And then with lighting it, you realize it's a little harder.
Yeah, it's a little bit of effort to light this.
And the reason the Perfecto is shaped the way that it is when you burn a cigar, you're looking for that coning effect to happen. So when we ash them for the first time, what you kind of want to see is a red pyramid.
Okay.
When the ash is all knocked off, you want to see an even burn will be symbolized by a pyramid on top of your cigar.
Oh, cool.
And the tip of this cigar
kind of starts that.
Yeah.
That's how it started off. Very cool.
Yeah.
I see. This is why we wanted to have Zach on the show early on because of his knowledge of tobacco is vast, and it's wonderful having you on so far. So just to learn and figure out what's going on. So, we'll continue to talk about this throughout the program here. Sure. But let me ask you. Obviously you're very knowledgeable about everything that's in the inventory here at Third Street Cigar. What's your favorite cigar, and kind of like what's your go-to, like your everyday smoke? Yeah,
my go-to, the Oliva G. I like it in the Churchill size usually.
Okay.
Today I just picked the Perfecto size to kind of show up the shape.
Yeah.
AJ Fernandez has their Cameroon. I'm a big fan of that. Alec Bradley's whole lineup, I've never had an issue with it.
I'm a big Alec Bradley fan myself.
And they like to blend in the mild range, kind of on the darker side.
Yeah.
You can see that in the Blind Faith, the Magic Toast.
Yeah, Magic Toast is one of my go-tos.
Absolutely.
Great
Even
cigar.
in their new Gatekeeper cigars.
Yeah.
And they're everything they kind of make is consistent. It's bold flavor at a decent price point.
Okay.
Yeah. Other go-to cigars that I have is the Fuente Hemingway. It's a great one because going along with that whole Cameroon thing. And then La Galera is a brand that most people don't know about. It used to be called Indian Head. And it was one of the biggest until they kind of went through a restructure, and they're La Galera now. And they have a couple great cigars like the 36 box press and their Habano. Both are great sticks, and we have both of them in our humidor.
Great. Awesome. That's a whole list of cigars if anybody wants to. I'll try to go ahead and get those put down in the description for the video here below so that you guys can kind of maybe remember those or help remember those if you're going to come into the store and want to try some of Zach's picks. You've paired tonight's cigar with a bourbon?
Absolutely. So this is Woodford Reserve.
Okay.
This is actually our house drink. In his memory, this drink's for Dave.
So to Captain Dave.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And one thing when you're drinking bourbon with a cigar, it's always good to add some ice or some water. If you don't want to cool it down, you can just add some water to open it up so you can blend the flavors of the bourbon with the cigar.
And actually, these two pair very, very well together.
Absolutely.
The spiciness of the cigar, and Woodford's just got a little bit of spice to it.
It has that spice, but it has that sweetness, which goes with the mild of the Cameroon.
Yeah. So, Zach, what do you want to talk about? I know we're both gearheads.
Absolutely.
We're both into cars.
Let's go right into it.
Let's
Let's go. Favorite brand. What is it?
McLaren.
Really?
Yeah, British car guy. I'm a British car guy through and through.
Yeah.
I know I just bought a French car, and for me that's crazy, but actually I've been very impressed by that piece of machinery.
Absolutely.
You've seen it before.
It's cool.
It's
I love
pretty,
it.
Pretty unique.
Citroën?
Yeah, Citroën.
Citroën
DS21.
Okay.
So Citroën's kind of a cool brand. They've been around forever, and they've always really experimented with revolutionary suspension technology.
Yeah.
So my car has a hydromatic or hydrostatic type suspension. Yeah. It's actually technically their oleo shocks, which is a charged nitrogen over top of a pressurized oil.
Yep.
So there's no springs in the car, not like a traditional damper that has a spring and a shock damper. This is actually one unit, and it's all kind of integrated.
Okay.
The cool thing about that car is, if you can imagine that shape and that design of that car, it debuted in 1955.
And you wouldn't think that.
No.
If I was alive in 1955 and that car came out, it would be, a wow. What is this?
It rocked the automotive world at the Geneva Motor Show in 1955. Yeah. And what was so unique about that was, or one of the unique things about that car in 1955 is they took pre-orders at the auto show. And they set a record for number of pre-orders for that car sold. And that record wasn't broken until the Tesla Model 3 very recently.
Wow.
So what's your go-to manufacturer, favorite manufacturer?
Favorite manufacturer, I love Volkswagen. Volkswagen Audi Group.
Yeah, I know you're a VW guy.
I've always loved how they kind of put their cars together. They've always kind of stayed true to their roots. We saw, the production of the original Beetle ending in 2003. Mm-hmm. They like to dig deep into that, even their microbus or the Type 2.
And I believe the Beetle is still the most vastly produced vehicle ever created.
Yeah.
Like, there are more Beetles on this planet than any other type of car.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that.
And the nice thing I like about Volkswagen is people have the stigma with German cars that they're unreliable and they're advanced and they're going to break down. Mm-hmm. And you might get that with an expensive BMW. You might get that with a Mercedes. What's nice about Volkswagen is the people's car, even to this day. Yeah. And it still rides and handles like a German car. It's a great value.
My test of German cars has always been get in and close the door.
Yeah.
German cars you just shut the door and and it's a different noise
Yeah.
than anything else.
I was reading an article somewhere that said they spend thousands of dollars to make sure that door makes a clunk, and that there isn't, some chintzy clink, or
So we talked about cars. We can continue talking about cars. I could talk about cars.
We could talk about cars. I mean, let's just turn this into a car podcast.
It could be a little car centric. It's you and I. I know.
Absolutely.
Usually when I come in here and we hang out, and either you're working or you're hanging out in the lounge in the back, we do end up talking about cars.
Well, that's the nice thing with the cigar lounge is a lot of people. There used to be this stigma with cigar lounges that the richest of the rich went there to talk about their money, talk about real estate, talk about.
I always
politics.
talk about my vast land holdings.
When in reality, when most people come into a cigar shop in 2020, there's going to be guys that are talking about cars, motorcycles, maybe some of the finer things like bourbon and watches,
Yeah.
And
Well, there's a watch group that comes here.
Yeah, there's a watch group that comes here. There's a bourbon club that comes here. There's a book club that comes here.
Yeah.
And it's all. I mean, cigars are definitely a higher end product.
Yeah.
But it is available to the public. Anyone can smoke a cigar.
Yeah, it's a luxury, but it's an affordable luxury item.
Yeah.
Now, are you, you've been working in this industry for a very long time. You're very experienced. You've been working obviously at 3rd Street here for quite some time. Are you seeing a growth and kind of a resurgence in cigar smoking, both regionally and as nationally?
Absolutely, yeah.
You've been working at 3rd Street for a very long time.
Yeah.
You've been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
You know a lot of reps. You know a lot of people kind of throughout the industry.
Yeah.
Do you think cigar smoking is kind of in a resurgence? Is it in a growth phase right now across the nation?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I go on vacation, I like to check the cigar stores around me just to see what there is. And usually when I go somewhere, even if it's northern Michigan or if it's Florida, there's cigar shops.
Yeah, they're in abundance.
And I walk in there and they're not a vacant place. There's people in there.
Yeah.
In the past, since I've worked here, we've seen not only, more people smoking cigars, we've seen more women smoking cigars. And that's something that I like to emphasize, that cigar smoking isn't something that just men do. Anyone can smoke a cigar.